Alright, coming out to the garage. I'm gonna tell you, I've been tired. This body work takes a toll on you after a while, but actually took about a week off. Haven't even messed with the money in about a week, which is good and bad at the same time. Like I said, I just had to rest, catch up on some sleep and everything, but it is it's time consuming. It takes a toll on you. But the good thing is, with letting the primer sit for a little bit longer, helps it cure a little bit longer. So that way, I know some primers they shrink. So this one, I don't think it shrinks that much. Like when you put it in a mixing cup and just leave it at the bottom, it usually makes like a hockey puck or something. That means it shrunk to the cup. This stuff, it tends to just stick to the actual cup, so it doesn't have that much shrinkage in it. But it is good that just let it dry for a little bit longer. But I've been watching a few other pages, and everybody's been making progress. So I got to come back out here. I know Penny LS1. He's been getting ready for primer on his Monty. Robbie over at Grind School, he finished the Elko, the paint on the Elko, and get started on the Impala now. Who else? Elko Warren is doing the firewall on the Elko. And I think he's about to paint that also. So I'm watching you guys out there. I just need to come out here and get back on it. Like I said, it might not look like it because I try to space my videos out a little bit. But yeah, just had to take a little break. But today, just gonna come out, do some block sanding. Stop by the paint shop today. Well, I guess I'll need the paint cup. But got a little bit of guide coat, a little bit of primer, just in an aerosol can. I didn't feel like the areas that might need a little bit of body filler or glazing putty, I didn't feel like having to mix up more primer, break out the paint gun and compressor and everything. So I just got a can of it. So yeah, just think I'm gonna hit it with the guide coat and then get the door blocks out with 400 grit. I think I still have that 320. Yeah, I might do the 320. Make sure everything's good, and have to go back. If I have to go back over it with the 400, I can. But yeah, I have plenty of the 400. And then I don't know where I put half the stuff. Really need to get organized. Yeah. And I still have, I believe that's the 320, so a little bit of that. These areas in here, these won't get block sanded or guide coated. We'll go over them just probably with the 400, just make sure it's nice and smooth. The areas that will get the guide coat and block sanded are the body parts, and then all the back sides of all these areas. Yeah, just gonna be doing some block sanding. So went and picked that up today. So let me stop talking, put the camera down. I'm gonna start on the body, and then like I said, all this stuff I don't need a guide coat any of this, so I'll just hit this with some sandpaper, try to smooth it up by hand. I might grab a sanding block to do it, but with all this stuff, you really can't get a sanding block in there, so that might all just be done by hand. The larger areas, I might just hit with the sanding block, but feels nice. Yeah, I'll see what the paint recommends as far as the grit. I believe 400 should be fine. Really don't need to step it up to 600, I don't believe, but I'll double check that, make sure everything goes good. As far as this hood, it's deceiving because, like I said, I have pretty good shop lights all the way around. It's getting late, so I'll probably close the garage door when I'm doing it. Leave it cracked a little bit with the fan going. But like in the garage, you really can't see that much. And then once the sun's out, you kind of get some small little hell dings. So once I block it down, probably just use this glazing putty on any of the low areas with the little hell dings. I don't think any of them are large enough for body filler, but we'll see. But yeah, there's a few areas right in there. So just some small areas that I know we're going to need some touch up, but we'll see how it goes. Like I said, it's not going to be a show car, but I'm trying to get it somewhat decent. Alright, so came back out, did a little bit more sanding today. Starting to get everything down to where it should be. Like I said, there are some areas that I'm still gonna have to reprime some, and then put the glazing putty on some, like in there, along here. So do a little bit more primer in here along some of the edges. Started going through all the way, so touch up spots like that. But did all the jams, pretty much all that by hand. So I think all that's done with 400. Just get it nice and smooth, but still enough for the paint to bite onto. As far as the roof, like I said, there's all those little areas that I still have to get with the glazing putty. A couple of them down in here to finish sanding down that back half, but I'm gonna call it a day. So I have to start getting ready for work. But the more I'm thinking about it, I think I'm gonna go ahead and scuff these up tomorrow and get the paint on this side of it. So that way it's all done. Then I could turn them back over, mask the bottoms off. Well, I'll let it dry for a little bit, but flip them back over, mask the bottoms off, and then start doing the final body work on the body, and then all the other parts of these. So that's the plan, I think. Alright, so just got off work, so I had to come in the garage and get all this sanded down. Let's get it all sanded down. Plan on coming out tomorrow morning and throwing color on all these areas. That way I can let it dry for a day or two before I flip it over and start working on the other side. Got a little grind school playing in the background. I'm slacking. He's almost at the same point with his Impala, so I need to get back on it. that's it. I'm gonna call it a night. Got everything sanded down that I needed to. I need to do the mirrors, I'll just hold off on doing those. And this part I'll just hold off on it. But all the interior pieces of the doors, fenders, the underhood, and the trunk lid, AC delete plate, and the wheel wells, those are all sanded down. Tomorrow I'll come out. I'll start by getting the shop vac out and vacuuming up all this dust, and then after I vacuum it, I'll go through with the compressor and blow it out with air to get everything out, and it's hiding all up in there. And then I'll hit it with a tack cloth and hopefully get everything out of all the little holes and everything. So yeah, that's it. Because today got a little dirty, but I'm gonna call it a night. Well, move this out of the way, pull the bike back in, and go get cleaned up. Call it a day. All right, so got everything cleaned off. Started with the shop vac, vacuumed up all the dust, then blew it out with the compressor, and then wiped everything down with the tack rag. So just gonna be doing these inside parts. I'm not worried about masking it off and getting overspray on the other parts because I still have to flip it over, and then this side still have to get sanded down. So if there's overspray on those parts, it'll be sanded down later. Guess I still have to wipe off the mirrors. I did sand those down, so we wipe those off. The taillight bezels aren't getting painted, they're just hanging there, so still have to scuff them up, sand them down, and do a little bit of repair on them. So some overspray gets on those, not worried about it. But yeah, just doing all this with the cord I have. So yeah, so this should be enough to do all the panels I'm doing today. If I have any extra, I'm gonna dump it into the gallon I have. But it's a 3 to 1 to 1 mixture, so 3 parts paint. I'll show you how it's white. I'm not gonna show you what type of white, but yeah, 3 to 1 to 1. So 3 parts paint, 1 part activator, 1 part reducer. So I'm gonna cut the compressor on, let it build up. So I just using this gun, nothing fancy. Did the PT with it, sprayed pretty decently. I think it's a 1.4 tip. Yeah, so we'll see how it does with this paint. Like I said, it's just the inside part, so if it does good, I'll use it for the body. If not, I believe I have another gun sitting around somewhere. But yeah, so I think everything's covered up where it needs to be. Cover up the TV, and then just get to spraying. Alright, all this is painted, and it's time to flip it over. It's been drying for about 24 hours. I'm a little nervous, but it's all dry. So I'm gonna do these areas where I actually have the sawhorse with the foam. I'm gonna turn those over. These areas that are on just the plastic and the wood, I might have to find something either an old blanket or just something to add a little bit of padding in between the fresh paint and like the wood surface, the hard surfaces pretty much. So here goes nothing. Just had to do it. So now you're way too long sanding, but got all of this sanded down to where it needs to be. At least got it sanded down to the point where I can see the imperfections that still need the glazing putty. So this door, you'll need it right in here, and then a little bit on that edge, I believe. As far as the hood, there's a spot here, and then one spot, or no, two spots, I believe, here and here. I need a little bit of attention. This fender, I believe down here, it's going to need a little bit of attention. This door, pretty much right here where I patched that hole with the fiberglass filler, put a little bit of glazing putty there, and just a little bit, pretty much this whole section. I need a little bit of it. The trunk lid is good. It's probably the easiest one to sand down. But like I said, I'm done today. Been out here for about 4 hours, 3 or 4 hours of sanding. Just this part. The body still needs a little bit of sanding. The nose, the rear bumper, and the firewall. The major areas. The roof, I have to put a little bit of glazing putty up there. Alright, so I just went through with that glazing putty. Filled some of those small imperfections in the bumper. So just let that dry. Covered up the Heldings that I could find. So just a nice little skim coat on it. I'm gonna wait for all this to dry. A few spots on the hood. Pretty much the whole top of the door. A little bit on this side. A little bit on the bottom of the fender. So a couple spots on the quarter. So there and there. One spot up here. A few spots on this door. And this rear quarter and just behind the door. So hopefully that's it. That's all I could find when I was block sanding it. So just filled those areas, wait for it to dry, and I'll go back through, sand it all down. Probably hit it with the probably the 320. I think it calls for like 80 to 180, but I'm all out of that. Well, I have some 80, but that's gonna be a little too rough for this. Maybe in some of the spots where it's built up a little bit. So yeah, probably start with, I might have some 180 laying around. If I do, hit it with 180 and work up to 320. And once I get it sand it down with 320, I'll primer back over it and then hit it with the 400. And whatever comes from it with the 400, that's what's getting painted with. So I'm gonna get it as smooth as I can. All in here, probably be by hand. Well, I think I could take it down with the block at first, but then like just the shape of this will all be by hand. But yeah, that's the plan. I'll give this some time to dry. Shouldn't be too fast. Like I said, working with it, you have a few minutes, so you don't want to mix up a lot. I do like the bag form. Still a little bit in there if I do need to touch up any space. So still have just a little bit left. But yeah, just have to clean up all these areas too. Might have to double check the rear bumper. Yeah, it's good enough for me. Sand this down, sand these little areas down, the fender extension, everything. Probably set the mirrors where I have everything else that's already painted. That's not getting another coat. Set those probably inside, or I think I threw everything in the PT. So that's where those will go. Next, just a little bit more sanding, and if the weather's nice enough in the morning, it's getting painted. So yeah, do some sanding, get the garage cleaned out, prep everything for in the morning, and come out 30 minutes to an hour, get this thing all painted, and just let it sit and forget about it. But yeah, I appreciate everybody that's been subscribing. Channel has been growing. Everybody that's been commenting, talk about the process on the car, how the progress has been. Trying to keep it up. Try to do a video at least once a week. If I have a bunch of work done, that's when I'll usually put about two out a week. So yeah, but yeah, I know you guys are watching. I'm trying to keep up with a lot of you guys, so especially guys in the same at the same stage I'm in. So definitely trying to watch all those videos. Right now I just have the music playing, but usually have a bunch of car YouTubers up there, so just trying to get information and yeah, just trying to figure it out as I go. There's a lot of channels out there with good information, so I take some of that into account. But yeah, let me put this down, go grab something to drink, let this dry, and I'll come out and get to sanding some more. Alright, just roughed everything up. I actually used the orbital sander with 80 grit, just because it was built up a little bit in some areas, so just knocked it down a lot faster. Next, I have one piece of 180 left, so it'll be enough to scuff up everything to get the 80 scratches out. Then I'll prime over that. So I'll prime over the 180, and then once the primer's dry, I hit it with 320 and then 400. And once I do the 400, I'm gonna finish doing the rest of the car, the firewall. I'll just go over the body one more time with 400, and then do the nose with 400, and any of the spots I hit after the primer, just hit those with 400 also. And then after that, once all that's done, I'll vacuum everything up, blow everything off, and then hit it with a tack rag, close up the garage for the night. And I don't know what this idiot's doing. It's a sidewalk, not a driveway. But yeah, close up the garage, set up the gun and everything, so in the morning I can come out and just be ready to paint. So if the weather holds out, like I said, today it's supposed to be pretty rainy. You gotta love that view, especially when it's clear. But yeah, if the weather holds out, come out in the morning and paint. Oh, almost forgot that. And so I'll clean up that area, and then it's primer time. So this is in the Transtar. I know I use a U-pole for the actual body, but I've used this for small areas before. It's pretty good. What else? Yeah, I know I'm gonna end up forgetting some of these pieces. That's gonna be the first piece I paint. Just get it out of the way. It's the smallest piece on the car. It's this little piece right in the middle of the bumper. So yeah, but that's just the steps I'm going with. I know She had 2 people just post some videos. So, and Grind School just posted one, and Elko Warren just threw one up. So, oh, yep, they both just popped up. So, let's get to it.
Back there, obviously. You can go ahead and throw these.
Alright, this is where we're at. Everything but 2 areas are block sanded down with 400. So, I didn't realize how late it got. But, so, well, I guess these little areas too. So I'm gonna just knock out these little parts, the fender extensions and the bumper, I guess fillers. Gonna knock those out. Gonna knock the rear bumper out real quick. Those will be 400. And it's gonna be pushing it. Have a little bit of 320 left, but it's about the same amount. So what I'm gonna do is firewall's going 320. I'm gonna do all that by hand. Just rough it up, and then if I have some left over with the 320, I'm gonna start on the rear bumper with 320, and that way when I get to 400, like I said, hopefully I have enough. I'll go back over it with 400. So that's the plan. But as far as blowing everything out, I'll wait till the morning. I'll just get up a little bit earlier. Don't want to wake up the neighbors too much, but yeah. So let me knock these couple parts out, and then call it a day. But when I say you guys are gonna need some sandpaper, you guys are gonna need some sandpaper. But yeah, mostly just big roll of 400, big roll of 320, and probably some 180 also. So that's just all the block sanding. No, I didn't record too much of this process, a lot of talking, but you guys get the point. Just sanding. You gotta get dirty. Can't be afraid to get a little dirty. So I'm gonna cut this off in the morning. I might cut it back on. No, this will be it for the video. So next one, it'll be masking everything off and painting the car.